So, what happens when you finally land a remote job after sending in applications for 11 months straight, only to get fired 3 weeks in? In today's success story, we meet Laura, who refused to let one setback define her journey. From one rejection to the other, to getting fired and still bouncing back even stronger. Her story is raw, it's real, it is heartwarming, heartbreaking, but I guess we're going to learn a thing or two from her story. So, if you ever felt stuck or unsure whether the remote work journey is for you, this video is definitely for you. So, let's welcome Laura. And if you find our videos to be helpful, informational, click the like button, subscribe, and leave us a comment because that is how you communicate feedback to us. And I'd really love to hear from you what is that you're taking away from this conversation. Let's welcome Laura. Well, thank you so much, Laura, for joining. I am so excited to be hosting you on our platform. It's been about 11 months, like I said, since we have been taking this journey together with you. And you've got an amazing story to share, an amazing success story, and learnings as well. So, if we can just start by you letting us know, first of all, your journey. Where does your career journey start from? And when you're talking about that, could you also indicate what motivated you to start a remote work job search journey? Because lots of people, different people have different reasons as to why they started their remote work journey. In my instance, it was, for my instance, rather, it was feeling not appreciated, not motivated, feeling like I had a lot of potential that was untapped. And so that is what prompted me to look outside of my comfort zone and venture into this whole remote work environment. So I'm also curious to understand, and please do cover this in your, yes, talking about your career. What is your career journey and what motivated you to start remote work?
Thank you so much, Lorraine. So where do I start? Probably I'll start with my background. So I have a background in finance. I've done BCom from UON, and then also with the accounting certificates and all that. And then, so what motivated me to do remote jobs? Uh, okay, maybe I'll just give a small background on my experience, my work experience.
Yeah.
So I started working in an education kind of career path. Somehow I was working in a school, and then I moved into an audit firm, and then I moved into a manufacturing company, and then I moved into government. I became a public servant. So when I was working in a manufacturing company, it was quite heavy. There were many hours. I would work from maybe in the morning, probably by 6 up, and already on the road and back again at home around maybe 7 8. So it was a full day, like a complete full day. When I say complete full day, it means you're working throughout. There's no time for stories in between the day with your friends and stuff like that. So when you're on your laptop, you're on your laptop and you're working. There's no time for phone calls or Instagram or whatever. You're working. So I moved from that to public servant, and you all know you get a lot of free time. So I moved like from 100 of working every day, every hour, to working maybe like once in a one day in a week. So I had a lot of time, and so having worked with all that pressure, so I was already used to it because I'd worked in the manufacturing company for like 5 years. So that's a lot to getting used to all that pressure. So I still had it in me. So I felt like this is a lot of time wasted. just working one day in a week. I know it's something people like. I don't mind it, but sometimes it gets a little bit boring, and I decided maybe I can get myself some remote job,
Yeah.
which will cover that time because we do have busy seasons. So maybe I could say maybe that's probably a challenge, but I felt like maybe if I can do the remote job maybe when I'm not free, and
Mhm.
then when I'm also, because also when it's a bit, this job is more flexible than the one for manufacturing, so I figured that probably maybe I could work things, I'll just probably figure out things. So that's what motivated me to start looking for a remote job.
Could you just walk us through the transition, because anyone who's worked in a manufacturing setting or anyone who's worked for a private company knows the the kind of hours one has to put in, and in a sense it does help if you've come from a private company, and then you're moving into the remote setting, because the level, okay, the pace is going to be different, because in the remote setting is even 10x, right? But I would assume, or I would think, that you moving from a private company, private manufacturing company, into the government, like being a public servant, how did you manage that, being so busy and then now having so much available time in your hands? How did you cope? I know I would struggle so bad. I would have, like, I don't know, 10 things going on because I'm a busy bee. But yeah, how did you manage?
Okay, well, to be honest, at first I was excited about it. The
Uh-huh.
first few weeks, it was very exciting because you're like, finally I
Yeah.
got time. Like I can even during lunch breaks, because initially in my previous job, lunch breaks were the only times I could now return my calls, and then if not,
Hmm.
maybe during the weekends. I would actually wait until the weekend, over the
Yeah.
weekend, to return calls. Maybe for Monday, I'll return it on Saturday. So
Uh-huh.
I was a bit excited the first week, but 1 month down the line, it becomes exhausting, if I may say so. It becomes
Uh-huh.
really exhausting, and
Uh-huh.
you actually become tired for not doing anything. Like
Right.
you want to do work, you're like, okay, what do I do? What do I do? So
Yeah.
you start giving yourself errands, just just small errands to
And
do
you
at
just
least.
keep yourself busy.
Because
Uh,
by the first month, if okay, I love watching movies, so I've watched all the movies that are there. So within the second
uh-huh.
month, it became too much. I've helped around, so and then I don't know. I think once you're in that pressure, day in day out, it's on
Hmm.
you.
Yeah.
Probably it's better getting from private to public than public to private, because I think getting from public, if you work for so long in public and then you venture into private, it will take you a lot to adjust. I don't think even you can hack it.
You can,
You'll
yeah.
probably just go back to public.
Right.
So I feel like you just what helped me, I just found, I decided to get things. Maybe I continued planning my week,
Hmm.
because initially, of course, since you have a busy week in the private sector, you have to plan your week. So I continued doing that, but now, okay, it's a more fun way, because you're planning things that are yours. Like, and I'll go for shopping on Monday, or I'll go, maybe there's something I've been wanting to do in town on
Hmm.
Tuesday, things like
Hmm.
that, just to keep myself busy. And probably maybe just find a hobby to do, because now that's when you are working in private, all those things you just have to forget about them.
True.
If you're a
True.
person who loves reading books, read books. Get a new skill to do, because I did actually. I after Immediately after getting out, I went back to school to learn French, because now I discovered I have time,
Look
and it's
at
something I've been wanting to do.
yes,
So
it's not all negative, right?
yeah. So you just find something, because I'm so sure everyone, especially the ones working in a private sector, there's something that they want to do, but they can't do it because of the time.
Hmm.
So So that's the time I took to just be small. It doesn't have to be something very intense. Just something that you'll enjoy and will keep you busy.
Okay. Yeah, cool. So, you also mentioned that you've got a financing background, and you got a background in finance or a financing background either. And you also did a number of courses. So, what are some of these courses that you did? Just in case there's someone who wants to get into finance or they're currently pursuing a degree in finance. What professional courses did you do?
Oh, I've done a CPA and also, okay, I've done CPA and I have my MBA. And probably there are so many other, with the CASNEB examinations, there are so many accounting courses. There's also CISA, which you can also do, and CFE.
Nice, nice. So let's reel it back in. So you've been working for the past 6 years, in basically private companies, and then now you move into the government. So you're a public servant. You've got a lot of time on your hands. You've done a course in French, and you're thinking now is the time that you can earn extra income because you've got lots of time on your hands. How does that journey start? Yeah. Where do you start from? Do you do any courses? What How do you know what to look for, where to look for? Like, yeah, just paint for us a picture.
Okay. So when I decided to now I want to look for remote job seriously. So first things first, I needed to get my CV right. So and that's where you come in. So I needed to get my CV right, and also there's some few things I wanted to like I ventured into. I wanted, at first initially before I decided to apply for other jobs for remote jobs. I wanted to concentrate on data analytics, something that I've never ventured into, but it's something new that I wanted to try out. So I joined ALX to do data analytics, and then that's how. So once I finished, it was a 6-month course. So I finished it, and then you did my CV, we updated it, and then now we started the applications.
And because I know we started by saying that it's been 11 months, right? So could you just paint us a picture of, because 11 months is quite a long time, yeah? It did take me like a quarter for me to find my first remote role. So just walk us through the emotional journey of it all. I know we used to talk, every quite so often. Um, but what kept you going, right? For 11 months until you found a role. And how did that come about? Like, if you don't also mind sharing the interview process of you finding the job, sending in your application, getting shortlisted, the interview process, and you landing the job. If you could walk us through that journey as well.
Okay. So at first I used to apply for only data analytics roles. And okay, given the I'm not experienced in data analytics, all I have is a certificate in data analytics. That's it. So I would apply, and of course, many rejections will follow after. So I decided maybe I try something else. I decided maybe I could maybe create a portfolio or something. I do projects. So I probably put it on hold. They're applying for the jobs because the rejections can be very demoralizing. That's what I started working on. And then I think you told me I've not done only data analytics. I also I have a background in finance.
Right? For some reason, you forgot about your background in finance.
I forgot because I felt like when somebody talks of remote jobs, they feel like it's only tech jobs. So I felt like it's only a tech job that I would get remotely.
Yeah.
That will probably pay me something an amount that I would like. So that's why I was limited to data analytics, which was a very wrong way of looking at things.
Yeah.
So once you say that, because also data analytics, okay, it needs a lot of you can't, for data analytics, what I've learned with these remote jobs, they actually value your experience. So if you don't have experience or show that you know the job, that you're good at the job, like for data analytics, I needed to present projects that I've done, which show that I know how to do those SQL and Python, to just show an overview of my experience with any project that I've done, which I didn't have. So that will take, it will be almost impossible. Even me, if I was a recruiter, I wouldn't choose you with just, you've indicated you've done data analytics at Alex. I wouldn't choose you. I'll need to see what you've done. So that's what made me to now maybe shift to doing finance, because finance, I have experience. I have a vast experience in finance. So that's when I decided to look for jobs, to apply for jobs for as a bookkeeper. So I started applying for bookkeeping jobs in January.
Okay, January of this year.
So probably towards the end of January. Let's make it February. So I started applying February, and I did how many assessments? Because I did 4 assessments. Because there were 2. It's either you do an assessment or you do an interview. I was applying different, but the ones because I remember I did an assessment for Test Gorilla and Sagan. 2 for Test Gorilla and Sagan.
How did you perform on the Test Gorilla ones? Because they are, yes.
They are quite intense.
They are. How did you perform? What score did you get?
Do I remember what score did I get? I just know I didn't pass.
Okay.
I just know I didn't pass. Same with the ones for Sagan, the assessment, because the Sagan assessment you need to get 80%.
Okay.
Because I think what did I get? I think one I got 66. The other one, but you have to get 80%. So they're also quite intense. So for Sagan they had an option for the assessment and interview. So the ones for the interviews, I did before getting the role, I did 1, 2, 3 interviews.
3 interviews for the same role?
No, different roles. I did different roles because I kept on applying. I was applying almost. I think I was applying at least, because I also didn't want to spam their page, their account. So I would limit myself to applying maybe at least 2 or 3 in a week. I didn't really want to spam them with so many applications. So 3 interviews, 2 I managed to go to the next level. So there's one which I went ahead and did an interview at the second interview with, because one was from US and the other one was from Canada. The second interview, because normally with Sagan you do an interview with the recruiter, a recruiter from Sagan, and then you do another interview with the client, now Sagan's client, now your employer now. So I got to do 2 interviews I got to 2 of them. I managed to go to the next level to do the interview with the employer now. So I can say the one which I did with the one which was in US was really, really tough. It actually reminded me. He actually reminded me of what I learned back in CPA, which was many years. I'm like, oh, okay, these things. There's some things you learn, and then you're like, where will you ever?
And you never practice.
You never get to use them. But because what I discovered with them, they do things differently with how we do our things, in the finance background. Because how we view our accounting, they're more about, do you understand the process? Do you know, are you able to get a financial statement and know if I'm able to make a profit? Are you able, like, you understand, you they need you they like that's what actually he wanted. And I feel like probably
Mm-hmm.
how we are tuned in Kenya is a bit different, because in Kenya
Mm-hmm.
you'll find you're stuck doing the same job 10 years. Maybe if
Yeah.
you're just doing payments, you're just writing a check, in terms of now, if I can say in finance. So you don't get to learn. You say you're an accountant, but are you an accountant?
It is so funny you mentioned that, Laura, because ah, I would have, yeah, it is. And please, any accountant who's watching this, or any other person who's watching this, right? Go with the understanding that you actually have to demonstrate that you're able to do the job and that you understand the why. I think I always tell all my clients that in an interview setting, you have to let them know, you have to let the recruiter or even the panel know that you understand the reason as to why you're doing what it is that you're doing. So it's really important that you actually have the theory, right? Because it's all about demonstrable knowledge. If you're not able to do that, then it doesn't work, right? And I say it's so funny you mentioned that, and thank you for mentioning that, because you have been in finance your entire career, right? It's like you saying you think you're an accountant, but are you really an accountant? Simply because you're doing account receivables day in day out, day in day out. Do you know any other thing outside of your scope? So,
Yeah, because actually that's what I got from it. Was a very, as much as I didn't get the job, but it was a good learning experience for me, because
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
realized that you really need to know what they want. They are not up to whether you actually they wanted. So long as you just show them that you're confident enough,
Mm.
that you're able to understand something, like that's
Yeah.
what they wanted to. You know your stuff. Yes, you said you know how to do bank reconciliation. So what actually another thing I noticed
Mm-hmm.
with them, they really wanted to know how you tackle problems, your
Ooh,
problem
problem
solving
solving.
skills.
Problem
So that
solving,
was
yes.
something I got, yes, from
Mm-hmm.
a number of interviews, because they would actually ask, just give you a situation, what would you do? And
Mm-hmm.
I realized the probably with time I came to realize the answers were not so hard. They're just simple answers. They just wanted to see how you would tackle it, not in a very complex
Uh-huh.
manner, but in a
Uh-huh.
normal human
Yeah.
manner.
Uh-huh. Like critical thinking, like what are your critical thinking capabilities, right?
Yeah,
If
nothing complex.
yeah.
Nothing that you need to call police. I don't know. Just something. Just something like I will talk to if like they
Yeah.
ask you if somebody has not sent you a report, what do? You just say you send them an email. Just something simple.
Yeah.
You don't need to start panicking at now. I'll call the CEO. Nini, nini. Just they want to know how you handle things.
because I mean at the end of the day, Laura, it's also all about team cohesion, right? Like you're coming to work in a remote environment where cross-cultural communication is super important, and you have to be cognizant of the how different cultures communicate and the nuances and the sensitivities around that. So how are you able to do your work efficiently without nudge or without rubbing the other person the wrong way, right? Because at the end of the day, it's a team, it's a company. Like you're all working towards the same mission and vision. So yeah, hmm,
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, that's because actually the interviews were quite a good learning experience for me,
Mm-hmm.
and probably maybe it helped me to do the next interview that I got, because now
Mm-hmm.
the second interview, at least now that we now from the first interview I was able to know how the expectation of the client, of the employer now. And
Yeah.
now the second interview was from Canada,
Mm-hmm.
and so I did the second interview and I was able to get the job.
Okay, now don't rush through that process, please. So you're able to get a job. What role did you interview for? And yeah, what questions did they ask? Just in case someone is looking to get into finance and thinking, now what will they ask me? That's what an release an interview. Yeah. What questions did they ask? If you can remember, And what was the feeling that you got when they called you, or even if they didn't call, when you saw the offer letter? What was the feeling that you got? Remember, this is after 11 months. Yeah.
So let me not lie, even the fact that Sagan, the minute they called me for an interview, I was I was over the moon. I was so excited. So let's not even go to the job offer. Just the fact
Uh-huh.
that Sagan called me and told me that I'm moving to we need to schedule an interview. I was
Uh-huh.
so excited because now at least there was some hope.
Yes.
So maybe I can the questions. Maybe I can talk about the questions on regarding the ones that stagnant recruiters asked me, because they're
Okay.
different from the ones the employer asked me.
Nice.
So
Uh-huh.
what I will say, I noticed they mostly asked depending on the job description that were on the while you're applying, see
Mm-hmm.
the job description. So those
Yeah.
those questions are the ones they asked. Like for example, bookkeeping, they have almost the same. Their job description is the same. Are you able to do accounts payable, accounts receivable, bank reconciliations, all that? So their questions were literally, they did not ask any question that was not within the job description.
Mm-hmm.
So all you needed to know is, as per the job description, so long as you're able to explain yourself and you know what that job entails. Like if it's bank reconciliation, are you able to know the process of bank reconciliation and challenges that are faced in bank reconciliation and what are the solutions? If it's accounts payable, the process of accounts payable. So what they would ask you is like, see, probably maybe in the job description they've told you you'll be doing bank reconciliation for daily on a daily basis. So
Yeah.
now during the interview they would ask like, uh, what challenges do you face during bank reconciliation? What How will you solve it? So they'll go into details, or what's the process, what, given it's the end of the month and you're required to do the bank reconciliation, so what do you need to do? Or you're supposed to do them on QuickBooks, so what, explain to me. So those are some of the questions that I was asked.
Mm-hmm.
And then now with the client, now the Sagan's client or the employer, let me say,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
the first interview, he was very detailed. So we were explaining, he actually opened I actually thought I was hired. Let me not lie. I thought I was, at some point I was confused. Are you doing an orientation or, or is this
Uh-huh.
an interview? Because he opened his
How so? Uh-huh.
because he so now he shared his screen and it was QuickBooks. So
Uh-huh.
I'm wondering, I thought this interview will be about how I'm using QuickBooks, but you're already showing me the
Uh-huh.
QuickBooks. So he went straight and showed me the statements and
Oh
how even he
wow.
was like, so this is where we go to. So I'm like, you're showing me, you're already guiding me. So
Uh-huh.
most of the questions that he asked were about the reports. So,
Mm-hmm.
as an accountant, the financial statement reports. So you
Yeah.
have the profit and loss, balance sheet, cash flow. So those are the things we were discussing. So he would
So
actually
then,
explain himself,
uh-huh. Uh-huh.
explain about his company. Like, my company is this big. We make this much and this
Oh.
and this. He will actually do that. And then now he asks the question. Now what do we need to do so that our expenses are not higher than the profits? So things to make that what do we need to do
Mm-hmm.
to reduce our expenses to make profits, things like
Uh-huh.
that. So it's like
Nice.
we were discussing, it was
Yeah.
like we're discussing the reports.
Uh-huh. So then I'm sure at this stage you are very appreciative of the fact that you kind of failed the first interview, because had that not happened, then perhaps you wouldn't have one the experience, in the
Yeah.
know-how, like what exactly they do ask in an interview, but also you wouldn't have been better prepared because maybe this would have taken you aback. Because I would expect that they would have asked questions again like the P&L, like account receivables and bank reconciliation and end month close and all that, right? But you say it was more about having a discussion and you
Yeah.
just chiming in your knowledge and seeing what value you can add. So it was more conversational, which is really nice and a different experience if you're to go for an on-site interview. Yeah.
Okay, it's not okay. I wasn't glad that I failed, but I knew at the end of the interview, I knew I wouldn't. There's some interviews you just know. You
Yeah,
just
just
know.
no.
For the second.
This one is a no.
And actually, funny thing, after that
Uh-huh.
interview, the next day I applied for the interview that I got. I applied it
Mm-hmm.
the next morning because I wasn't even waiting to be told that I'm not getting it because I knew. But at least
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I was glad because now I knew what I'm expected to go through and
Yeah.
what the questions are supposed to be, the questions that will be asked. So it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't something. It actually really helped a lot.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So fast forward, you've attended the interview, then you get the offer. How was that? How long did they take, first of all, for them to, from the time you attended the interview with your potential employer to you getting an offer? What was the wait time?
Okay. Probably I can start with because even while doing the interview with the second recruiters,
Mm-hmm.
they actually let you know that some of their clients they can take long, but they'll do their best to keep on reminding them.
Mm-hmm.
Some are
Mm-hmm.
very fast,
Mm-hmm.
which was the case for me in the first interview. Because the first
Uh-huh.
interview I did it with second recruiters. Let's say, for example, today
Okay.
at night, maybe at 10 p.m. In
Mm-hmm.
the morning, I was already called for the second interview,
Oh, wow.
and we scheduled the second interview that same day.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then after 2 days, they told me I didn't get the job. Now come the second job. That
Mm-hmm.
one they took their time because I applied and did. Actually, when being called to do the second interview, the first interview, of course, with the
Mm-hmm.
second is normally quick because
Yeah.
they normally take less than a week. They don't take more than a week between you and second.
Uh-huh.
It's normally, yeah, within a week you
Within a
normally
week
know.
of you sending in your
Actually, even
application.
a week is a lot. Let's say 2 days, 2 3 days.
Oh, okay. Okay.
They
Nice.
normally, yeah. But now the time between I did my first interview with Segan and then now with the client, with Segan's client,
Mm-hmm.
it took I think 2 weeks. It was a long time. I remember it was a very long time. It took 2 weeks.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and then between the time between the second interview now with the offer letter was a week. And it took a week.
Okay, so not so bad. Yeah, relatively, what, 3 weeks thereabout, right?
Yeah, 3 weeks.
Okay, okay. Uh-huh. So 3 weeks after the interview or 3 weeks after you sending in your application, you then get the offer.
I get the offer letter. I was so
Uh-huh.
happy and excited. So they just once you get the second, they just wrote me an email. Congratulations, you've gotten your offer letter. So
Uh-huh.
now I'll let you have the continuing conversation with now the company, which
Mm-hmm.
now I did.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, now I got in touch. Now we were communicating one on one with the company that hired me,
Mm-hmm.
and within actually the onboarding it only took 1 week after the offer letter. After 1 week, I started the job.
Interesting. Mm-hmm.
So it was really exciting.
Was that of your own accord? Did you, so wait, after 1 week you start the job. So are you currently So are you now doing two jobs? Are you still a public servant? Because remember, it was, you felt like you had a lot of time on your hands, right? So I'm assuming you still have your public servant role, and now you've just landed a second remote role. Yes.
Uh-huh.
So time, we haven't even talked of the timing when I got the job. So
Oh yeah.
I started applying in January because January to June, you have a little bit of time,
Mm-hmm.
and then now from you start June, maybe like 1 month, and then now we become busy from say September all the way till December.
Uh-huh.
So, but this year it was different.
How so? How so?
So we started work early. So the
Mm.
work we normally have, the work that we normally do in June.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, we don't know. We normally do it towards end of June. Actually, not even June, July,
Okay.
August. The work that
Mm-hmm.
we do in July, August. Sometimes we do it even in September.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you can have free time from let's say February all the way till September.
Mm-hmm.
So the work that we normally do to either between July and September was moved to May. So
Uh-huh.
so I'd started working, and I was starting my new job. I can't tell. Okay, the timings were between 6 p.m. till 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Those
Mm-hmm.
were the
Your remote
timings.
role, right?
Yeah, the remote role was from
Okay.
6 p.m. till 2 a.m.
Uh-huh.
An 8-hour job, full time.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, which is not bad. But then again, sometimes traffic, there's a lot going on. If you're in session,
Yeah.
sometimes we work beyond 5, so you find 6 you're still in the office.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to ask for permission, or I'll be late. Yes, I'll start at 6, but I'll be late. You
Yeah.
can't say why you're late.
Yeah.
So the first 2 weeks, I did the job the first 2 weeks, and there
Mm-hmm.
was a lot of pressure. There's one day I think I had to excuse myself
Mm-hmm.
because I needed to go to work the next morning, very early in the morning, and I was moving from 2 different counties.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to excuse myself, and so I missed that meeting. So
Okay.
the next week they just told me, looks like I don't have time.
Oh
And
really?
yeah, and see, they need somebody who is available full time from 6
Oh.
p.m. till 2. And sadly, that is how the job ended.
I know it is okay. Okay, before you can dwell into the loss of the job 3 weeks in. Oh, how much were they paying you for this bookkeeping role?
They were paying how much better? They were paying, it was $1,185 per month. Yeah,
So 1185 dollars
185.
per month. Okay. Oh, okay. Hmm.
Because I remember us having that conversation, and I had traveled, and I was like, "Oh, that is such a bummer." How did you process that information? Because first, had you gotten paid? Like, had you received even your first salary? Because I know, yeah.
With them, so how
Uh-huh.
they something about them, because
Mhm.
they the full-time job was actually, it had to be full-time because they had
Okay.
a tracker. So they had an app
Uh-huh.
which track the number of hours. So you actually, even you might end up not getting paid the 1185, because if you
If
don't,
you don't meet the
1185,
hours.
you have to meet the 8 hours in a day. And
I
it's not
see.
just meeting 8 hours in a day, because
Mm-hmm.
the 8 hours you have to see the tracker. So it was, I think, there's a company, Golands. It's called Golands. So
Mm-hmm.
which now I think they had outsourced. So it's a company which is outsourced in
Yeah.
charge of now this remote workers. So
Okay.
they track your hours, and then they're the ones who actually pay you. It's like PayPal. They also have something module in them like
Okay.
PayPal, so where they transfer money and then now you remove them your money from them.
Okay.
So with them, the tracker used to screenshot your screen after every 5 minutes.
Oh wow.
So that means you can imagine 8 hours after 6 p.m. So 6 p.m. I'm logged in. You have to be eyes on the screen for
Like,
8 hours.
oh my
So that's
god.
6 p.m. till, so I'm at work and then I have to come back again 6 p.m. till 2 a.m. just
Yeah.
on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to move your cursor. Even though you're done with their task, you have
Yes.
to move your cursor. Because if you don't, if you even take a 15 minutes break, you come back, it tells you no activity has been noticed for the last 15 minutes. So that 15 minutes is not counted.
It's not counted.
No, it's
So
not
you
counted.
usually have a window of 15 minutes to not 15, less than 15 minutes to move your cursor around.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
literally 10 minutes, choop, screenshot. 10 minutes, choop, screenshot. 10 minutes, screenshot. So
Okay.
after, if you take a break for 1 hour, because let me not lie to you, especially the first few days,
Yeah.
I think I worked for 6 hours. And not that
Mhm.
it's 6 hours, I actually worked from 6 to 2 a.m.
Uh-huh.
I think this that time I dozed off. I came and when I opened my eyes, I realized your no activity has been seen for the last 1 hour.
That's not even funny. What do you mean you dozed off, Laura?
No, it's 2 a.m. 2 a.m. I'm used to sleeping at 11, 10. So 2 a.m. and I need to wake up in the morning at 5 because I'm working. So I think probably between 1 and 2, I used to mostly doze off. The first week, the second week, I'd already gotten used to it. But I remember actually, the first 2 days,
Yeah.
they were very hard
Uh-huh.
for me. And I hadn't noticed that's what happens. That's when in the morning now I'm going back because there's a record. It shows you. I'm wondering, see, but I was up until, I was on until 2. Why has it counted
You
only
forgot that
7
you
hours?
dozed off.
No,
Uh-huh.
I knew I'd dozed off, but I thought since the machine was on,
Oh,
it
since the
would
machine
count.
was running, so it counted.
Yeah, but that was not the case because it needs to see activity.
Oh gosh.
So as
Oh,
much as your
uh-huh.
machine is on and there is no activity going on,
Mm-hmm.
there's no movement, it
Mm-hmm.
does not count the number of hours. So it was actually, I would say it was an intense job. Not intense in terms of work,
Yeah.
because the work was actually, it wasn't that bad. It was
Mm-hmm.
something that it was a basic accounting. Accounting is accounting, whether it's
Yeah.
abroad or here. It's only the
Mm-hmm.
way you do the accounting you realize it's different.
Yeah.
So it wasn't something hard, but now that's full time. That one where you have to be on your laptop the whole time after
Mm-hmm.
working a whole day job. It was a
Mm-hmm.
bit intense, and then also now you have to be on your machine at 6 because
Yeah.
sometimes I would run in
Mm-hmm.
late and get into the machine maybe at 6:30 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think that was.
Yeah.
I think now I know I know not to
Now
be.
you know. Now
I
you've
don't
got
even
experience, right?
yeah not to be
Uh-huh.
so ambitious, and some things you just need to let go.
True, true. Yikes. So, huh. Part of the reason as to why I really, really wanted to bring you on board, Laura, was so as you can share your story. Because we've been getting people, especially public servants, asking, can I do two jobs? Like, can I do this? Can I keep my public service role and still do a remote opportunity, like do a remote role? And my answer has always been, I couldn't see myself doing it because of the intensity of the work. But now you're bringing in a different aspect to this, that the intensity, or especially for the companies that actually do time tracking. Then the other thing is, I guess it also came, like the opportunity came at a time where you hadn't anticipated it, because you talked about, how your work schedule or your work calendar you would have been, ideally, you would have been busier, um, from, let's say, July, August. So if the opportunity came in May, you'd have had enough time or ample time to just settle into the role, know the ropes. By the time July or June, July is coming in, then you'd know how to manage your time and manage your schedule altogether, right? So okay. What lessons did you take away from this experience? I know it was only 3 weeks and haven't told us whether you got your money or not. How much did they pay you?
Half, because I had worked for
Oh,
2 weeks,
okay. Okay. All right.
which,
Cool.
okay, they were not full 8 hours. I just can
Mm-hmm.
say half.
Half. Okay. Okay. Cool. So what lessons did you take from this opportunity? And yeah, what lessons are you moving forward with? Do you still want a remote role? Yeah. Are you still looking for a remote role?
I do. I forgot to tell you one of the motivating factors was also the money. I don't know why I didn't mention that. We also need,
Right.
we all need to make more money in this economy. so,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
so what now I got from that? Because given this year has been different compared to the other years in my current workstation.
Mm-hmm.
So just to be safe, I probably not get a full time, because I don't know when we'll be working and when we'll not be working. So at the
Yeah.
same time, I don't want to cause an alarm where I'm working.
Mm-hmm.
So I probably maybe look for a part-time jobs, or maybe I also noticed there
Yeah.
are some retainer jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So either maybe part-time jobs or retainer jobs
Mm-hmm.
that are flexible. They already know I have a job, so they won't have a problem with me telling them that I need to go to work or something like that. Because they
Mm-hmm.
equally pay. I notice they also equally pay some good amount of money.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, cool. I've got one last question for you, Laura. What would you tell not 11 month, Laura? Like, what did you tell yourself? Hmm. Let me rephrase the question. What would you tell your past self, the Laura that was looking for a remote role 11 months ago? What would you tell that person?
Okay. What will I tell them?
Yep.
Because 11 months ago, it seemed so impossible while I was
Right.
applying, but I was very hopeful
Mm-hmm.
at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be like, do not put so much pressure, and just be hopeful and try to calm down, because sometimes I feel like, well, doing these interviews, there's a lot of tension,
Yeah.
and as you said, what I've noticed with them, it's conversational. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not something that you're supposed to be
Mm-hmm.
to overthink about it.
Yeah.
I think the Kenyan system has just ruined it for us. So just be calm, and when you're doing the interviews, uh, just try and whatever you know, just make sure you understand whatever you know, and be confident. Confidence plays a great role with the interviewers, because it actually helps a lot. With confidence, even if you're saying the wrong thing, sometimes you can get away with it. So
True.
just be
True.
confident and be
Uh-huh.
calm, and when the time comes, it will come, and you'll be able to get the job.
Ah, I love it. I love it. If you could leave anyone who is in finance or a job seeker, what is one thing that you could tell them? Just, yeah, you're parting short.
Keep applying. Don't lose hope.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you apply for the regrets that I have. If I just search the word regret in my email, I'll go to the next page. The way the email has, and then past 50,
There's
next
that
50.
many.
I will
Uh-huh.
go to the next. So sometimes it's actually you, because even after applying for this job, after getting the job, I remember
Mm-hmm.
even during my onboarding, while I was being onboarded, I was still getting regrets from Sagan. So
Right. Yeah.
just don't lose hope. Just apply and apply and apply and apply. One day, one it will just maybe probably also another thing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Sometimes we apply, try and find out what. Don't apply with the same things. Maybe if you've applied for so long, maybe your CV is the problem, or maybe your introduction
True.
video is the problem.
True.
So if you've seen you've applied for so long and with the same thing, the same CV with the same introductory video, try and change it and see maybe
Mm-hmm.
those maybe that's the problem. So,
Mm-hmm.
but don't give up. Just keep applying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what I liked what you said, something that was so profound or really helpful to a job seeker, is that chances are the questions are going to be asked are already in the job advert. So it is up to you to actually really read through and understand that job advert. So know what role you're actually applying to, because the questions are going to come from that same, one page document that was published. So there's that as well. Yeah. So do let us know in the comment section. Laura, I don't know if you have any other parting shot, or are we good to go?
I'm just happy for you having me, and I wish all applicants all the best as they continue applying. And I wish you that you get your remote jobs.
Oh, thank you so much. And if you're wondering, if you've watched this video until the very end and you're wondering why we are not showing Laura, that is because of privacy. So we also don't want her, yeah. So we're gonna have her face um blurred out. And yeah, but thank you so much, Laura, for sharing your story with us. I also want to know, what is, to the audience, that is, what is your one big takeaway from this whole conversation? If there's one thing that you're taking away from this conversation, what is that? So keep it in the comment section. And for me, I think what I've learned from your journey, Laura, is that your remote journey is not going to look the same as every single person's, right? Your remote work journey is going to look completely different. Even sometimes, like the regrets I always say are a redirection. But even you not getting a job or you being fired is sometimes a redirection. And I know you might not see it that way when you're in the thick and thick of things, but think about it this way: the kind of experience that you've gotten through this whole journey, how you actually came to now even know yourself, like what works for you as an individual, Laura, or what doesn't. That is, in essence, some level of growth. So when you're moving on to your next role, you know what works, you know what doesn't, and you're able to kind of align yourself in a way that will enable you to perform at your level best. And for me, that is already a success. So I cannot wait to hear, and I cannot wait, to host you next when you finally get that part-time remote opportunity that will allow you to, one, get that money, but two, also just allow you to flourish as an individual and, feel like you are contributing in more ways than one to this universe. So yeah, I think for that, thank you so much, Laura. And your yes is definitely coming. It's on its way. Your third yes. Yeah, I wish you nothing but all the very best. But also, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.